Leviticus 13. Scaly infection. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when someone has on the skin a mark, a lesion, or blotch which appears to develop into a scaly infection, the person shall be brought to Aaron, the priest, or to one of the priests among his sons. If the priest, upon examination of the skin's infection, finds that the hair on the infection has turned white, and the infection itself appears to be deeper than the skin, it is indeed a scaly infection. The priest, on seeing this, shall declare the person unclean. If, however, the blotch on the skin is white but does not seem to be deeper than the skin, nor has the hair turned white, the priest shall quarantine the afflicted person for 7 days. Should the priest, upon examination of the 7th day, find the infection has remained unchanged in color and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall quarantine that person for another 7 days. Should the priest, upon examination again on the 7th day, find the infection is now faded and not spread on the skin, the priest shall declare the person clean. It was merely a scab. The person shall wash his garments and so become clean. But if, after the person was examined by the priest and declared clean, the scab spreads on all the skin, the person shall once more be examined by the priest. Should the priest, upon examination, find that the scab has indeed spread on the skin, he shall declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection. When someone is afflicted with a scaly infection, that person shall be brought to the priest. Should the priest, upon examination, find that there is a white mark on the skin which has turned the hair white, and that there is raw flesh on it, it is chronic scaly skin infection on the skin. The priest shall declare the person unclean without quarantine, since the individual is certainly unclean. If the scaly infection breaks out of the skin, and as far as the priest can see, covers the skin of the afflicted person from head to foot, should the person then, upon examination, find the scaly infection does not cover the whole body, he shall declare the afflicted person clean. Since the person is turned completely white, that individual is clean. But as soon as raw flesh appears, the individual is unclean. In observing the raw flesh, the priest shall declare the person unclean. Because the raw flesh is unclean, it is a scaly infection. If, however, the raw flesh turns white, the person shall return to the priest. Should the latter, upon examination, find the infection has indeed turned white, he shall declare the person clean, and the individual is clean. If a boil appears on a person's skin which later healed, should now, in the place of the boil, a white mark or reddish-white blotch develop, the person shall be examined by the priest. If the latter, upon examination, finds that it's deeper than the skin, and that the hair has turned white, he shall declare that person unclean. It is a scaly infection that has broken out into a boil. But if the priest, upon examination, finds that there is no white hair in it, and that it is not deeper than the skin, and it's faded, the priest shall quarantine the person for 7 days. If it has been spread on the skin, the priest shall declare that person unclean. It is an infection. But if the blotch remains the same without spreading, it is merely a scar of the boil. The priest shall therefore declare that person clean. If there is a burn on the person's skin, and a white area now becomes reddish white or a white blotch, when the priest, upon examination, finds the hair has turned white in the blotch, and this seems to be deeper than the skin, it is a scaly infection that has broken out in the burn. The priest shall therefore declare the person unclean upon examination. If the priest upon examination finds that there is no white hair in the blotch, that is not deeper than the skin and is faded, that priest shall quarantine the person for 7 days. Should the priest upon that examination on the 7th day find that it has spread on all the skin, he shall declare the person unclean. It is a scaly infection. But if the blotch remains in the same without spreading on the skin, it is faded, it is merely a spot of the burn, The priest shall therefore declare that person clean, since it is only only the scar of the burn. When a man or a woman has an infection on the head or in the beard, should the priest, upon examination, find that the infection appears to be deeper than the skin, and that there's a fine yellow hair in it, the priest shall declare a person unclean. It is a scall, a scaly infection of the head and beard. But if the priest, upon examination of the scall infection, finds that it does not appear to be deeper than the skin, though the hair in it may not be black, the priest shall quarantine the scale-stricken person for 7 days. Should the priest, upon examination of the infection on the 7th day, find that the skull is not spread and has no yellow hair in it, and does not seem to be deeper than the skin, the person shall shave, but not the skull spot. When the priest shall quarantine the skull disease person for another 7 days, if the priest, upon examining the skull on the 7th day, finds that it is not spread on the skin and that it does not appear to be deeper than the skin, he shall declare the person clean. The latter shall wash his garments and will thus be clean. But if the skull spreads at all on the skin after the person has been declared clean, should the priest upon examination find that the skull has indeed spread on the skin, he need not look for the yellow hair. The individual is unclean. However, the skull has remained unchanged in color and black hair has grown in it. The disease has been healed. The person is clean, and the priest shall declare the individual clean. When the skin of a man or woman is spotted with several white blotches, if the priest, upon examination, finds that the blotch on the skin are pale white, it is only tetter that has broken out on the skin, and the person therefore is clean. When a man loses the hair of his head, he's simply bald on the crown, but not unclean. Sorry. So too, if he loses the hair on the front of his head, he is simply bald on the forehead and not unclean. But when there is a reddish-white infection on the bald crown or bald forehead, it is a scaly infection that is breaking out there. If the priest upon examination finds that the infection spot on the bald area on the crown or forehead has the same reddish-white appearance as that of scaly infection of the skin, the man has a scaly infection and is unclean. The priest shall declare him unclean, his infection on his head. The garments of one of the afflicted with scaly infection shall be rent, and the hair disheveled, and the mustache covered. The individual shall cry out, unclean, unclean, as long as the infection is present. The person shall be unclean, and being unclean, the individual shall dwell apart, taking up residence outside the camp. Fungal infection of fabrics and leather. When a fungal infection is on the garment of a wool or linen, or on the warp and wool of the linen or wool, or on the hide or anything made of leather. If the infection on the garment is on the garment or hide, or the warp of the wool, or any leather article is greenish or reddish, the thing is indeed fungal infection and must be examined by the priest. Having examined the infection, the priest shall quarantine the affected article for 7 days. If the priest, upon inspecting the infection on the 7th day, finds it has spread on the garment, or on the warp or wool, or on the leather, wherever it is wherever it's used, the infection is a harmful fungus. The article is unclean. He shall therefore burn up the garment, or the warp or wool, be it of wool or linen, or any other leather article which is infected. Since it is a harmful fungus, it must be destroyed by fire. That's weird. They didn't have But if the priest, upon examination, finds that it is not spread to the garment, or on the warp of the wool, or on the leather article, he shall give orders to have the infected article washed and then quarantined for another 7 days. Yeah, we don't realize how good we have it. If the priest, upon examination, after the infection was washed, finds that it was not changed its color, even though it may have spread, the article is unclean. You shall burn it with fire, but it is fray. It is on its inner or outer side. But if the priest, upon examination, finds that the infection has faded after washing, he shall cut it out of the garment and the leather or warp of the wolf. If, however, the infection again appears on the garment or the warp or wolf, or on the leather article, it is still virulent, and you shall burn the thing infected with fire. But if after the washing the infection has disappeared from the garment, or the warp or wool, or the leather article, the thing shall be washed a second time, and thus it will be clean. This is the instruction for fungal infection on the garment, or wool or linen, or on warp or wolf, or on any leather article. It is determined whether it is clean or unclean.